All right, all right, all right. And we are live. Yo, yo, yo. Tell me what you know. Welcome to the Sunshine Show. Woo! You guys, I have a very, very special treat for you tonight, this afternoon, this morning, wherever in the world you may roam. Because, yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Sunshine Show is worldwide. That's right. I said it, worldwide. We have the one and only, the most amazing, the most fabulous, the most phenomenal, the most Bowie of them all. I have Dominic DeLaney in the house, all the way from Florida. What's up, Dominic?
Hi, how are you?
I am doing so good. I'm so excited to catch up with you. It's been a couple of months since this last time that we've talked, and you have a lot of amazing things coming up.
I do. Yeah, I think we talked maybe right before our September tour that I did with the Shake that we did for the documentary. Yeah, I mean, this year's looking really fun. Most notably coming up is the Amtrak tour, or the first Amtrak tour. That'll be starting next Monday. We're flying up to New York. It's the first time I'm taking the full band out of state, so I'm excited for that. We're doing a couple New York shows. We're doing a special recording session with this sound recording company called Least of All. We're going to be doing these limited, like 7-inch singles, and they're no duplication. It's pretty much if you want a song, you pick the song and you get that take. So we're doing a whole bunch of those. Then the band flies home, and I go further north by train.
Oh my goodness, we have so much to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
January the 17th of 2023. This episode has been brought to you in part by the lovely Donovan, who is residing in the basement. That's right. I've renamed him Donovan because I just feel like that's a classier name for him, Dominic.
I think it works.
It absolutely works. You guys, everybody that's been trying to get a hold of me, I have misplaced my phone. So, Mama Cantu, wifey, all the daily people who are trying to contact me, I'm not ignoring you. I love you all so much. Let's see. We got Leaf Arrow in the house all the way from Oregon. We got Omar Jimenez all the way from Mexico in the house. What's up, guys? You already know how this works. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions for myself or the one and only Dominic DeLaney, drop them there in the comment section. You ready to get this motherfucking party started,
Let's
Dominic?
go.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
I am.
All right, let's do this. Um, so Dominic, I want you to give us a brief introduction for the very few people who may not know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Dominic DeLaney. I am a singer songwriter out of Lake Worth, Florida. I play a style of music that I like to call campfire punk rock. Um, and for the past year, I've been able to play with an awesome backing band. And we're doing a lot more full band shows this year, so I'm really excited about it.
Whoop, 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 whoop. That is very exciting. And are you going to be playing any music for us tonight?
I will be. I have just off camera here a plethora of guitars. I think I'm only gonna play one of them, but I do have many. Uh,
Oh,
so yeah, I have a little acoustic one. I have a story for the song that I want to play you.
oh, that's
Um,
exciting. But wait 1 second, Dominic. Did you say the P word?
Maybe, yes.
Did you say a plethora?
I did. I did say plethora.
Oh my goodness, a plethora of guitars. I do enjoy the word plethora.
Yeah, I really only have like three on this rack, but it's a plethora.
Oh my goodness, very nice. So, how did the documentary and the tour go with the lovely band, The Shake?
It went really good. Well, yeah, it went really well. But every tour has its ups and downs, and this was by far, I think, the biggest scale that we had attempted, and with that comes different challenges. Um, but like just to talk on those guys, the Shake for a second, like I love those guys. Those guys have become like family. I was saying to somebody the other day, like I think between touring, recording my album, and all this other stuff we did last year, I might have spent more time with Ricky than I did my wife, um, which isn't great, but we'll work on it. But yeah, I mean, working with them is has been the best, and like now I tour manage them, and it's just a really great working relationship. So when the opportunity came up to do the documentary with them, I said yes right away. Um, it was a lot of fun. Living on an RV is a way of life I think I could get used to pretty quickly. Um, we did have hiccups with that, and like the problem with that I think is that if you have a hotel room and your van breaks down, that sucks. Like your van broke down. But if you have an RV and it breaks down, it's like, oh shit, your house broke down.
Yeah.
Um, and so that comes with its own trials. But you know, Aquila from the Shake is one of the best handymen I've ever met. So he's definitely a good one to have around. And yeah, like I love working with those guys. We've got a show together this coming weekend in Lakeland. Um, you know, but I hope to keep working with them. You know, touring with those guys is a lot of fun. Ricky plays drums for me, so he's coming to New York. Joe has been filling in on bass for a couple shows while Rocky was gone. Yeah, they're family at this point.
Very nice. Aquila is quite the character as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny because you know, jokingly, one of my jobs is to keep Aquila out of jail. Sometimes that line of like no longer a jokingly job description gets pushed every now and again. And some people will have to wait until the documentary to see to what extent I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean Aquila's the best. He's always, you know, if you're down, he's pretty much guaranteed to make you laugh. You might not get to go on any like Capitol tours or White House tours if he's around you, but I think the benefits outweigh the negatives.
And for the few people who may not know who the Shake are, please give us a brief intro on the Shake.
Yeah, so the Shake is some of my best friends out of Delray. Um, it's got Ricky who plays guitar and sings. It's got Joe who plays bass and Aquila who plays drums. They're not a reggae band. I think they're like a reggae band in disguise. Um, they're amazing. They're some of the best musicians I've ever met. I feel like working and hanging out with them like challenges me to be a better musician. Um, Plus Joe looks like he's 12, so it's like a really fun like trick on the eyes. But yeah, they're awesome, and they actually just recently released their first couple of songs that they're going to be releasing this year. It's called Why Winter Why. It's 3 songs. It's on Spotify. It's out there, so you can listen to it anywhere.
Boom. So you mentioned that you've spent more time with Ricky than your wife this past year or past couple of months. Now, do you guys also share a bunk while you're on the road?
We have shared beds before. When you know, when you get a hotel room with 4 guys and 2 beds, the math's not too hard. So yeah, me and Ricky have bunked up before together. Um, I think on this coming tour, I'm probably gonna bring an air mattress, uh, just because I like my space. So, but yeah, I mean, it happens. You start sharing things, and beds are just another one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. What are 3 things that you will not share while on tour?
Um, Toothbrush, shoes, underwear.
Oh, that's really good. Toothbrush, underwear, and shoes. Now I feel like Dominic, if somebody really needed a pair of shoes, you would probably lend them a pair of shoes just because you look like a really good guy.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The only reason I said shoes is actually because mine are the ones that smell. So I don't want anyone to have to wear my shoes.
Oh my God. Where's your favorite place to play while on tour? Do you have one yet?
Um, Somebody asked me this the other day, and like Ricky and I were talking about it, and there's a lot of really cool experiences that we got to have. I mean, New Orleans was one of my favorite places even before last year. I got to play in New Orleans essentially right before COVID happened, like December of 2019, and it was
Okay.
kind of one of my first bigger out of state shows. And I had a blast. I fell in love with New Orleans, and to get to go back and do even more shows. Like last year, I did one with the Shake, but then I think I also had like 3 other New Orleans shows. It's a really cool city. I like the history. It's very kind of like Gothic cathedrals and stuff like that. That's cool. But then again, I also had like a lot of fun. Um, like New York City was obviously cool. South Carolina was like a wild card. I didn't expect South Carolina to be as wild as it was. It was really cool. Um, so
What
yeah,
was
I don't
so,
know.
what was so wild about it?
Well, I was standing at the merch table and some lady came up to me and she can kind of tell that I was confused about like the crowd in there. And
Okay.
she was like, "Oh, this is like a military town. Like all of us are in the military and we're just on leave. So we come to this bar." And
Okay.
so it was cool. Like they're all down and they bought merch and stuff. But a lot of crew cuts.
Ah, okay, got you. Let me tell you, when I my favorite New Orleans story, they throw a festival every year called Voodoo Fest, and it's always the weekend of Halloween. So the last weekend of the month. So everybody gets dressed up to the T. Everybody is like balls to the wall, going hard in the paint. And I have a lot of really good memories from that particular trip to New Orleans. I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers. I ended up with like a pumpkin on my head at like 7 o'clock in the morning with no shoes at some bar. And if you know one thing about New Orleans, you don't walk around with no shoes. That's like a
Nope.
huge no.
That's very true. Yeah, I really like that city. My first time there was with my best friend Quan, and we flew in, and you know immediately one of the things that struck me first was that like it was 2019. What Katrina I think was 2005. So
I
this
believe so,
is
yeah.
so this is like 14 years later, and I mean immediately in the Uber on the way there, our Uber driver is telling us their Katrina story. And that was something that was like really stark when I first got there was that like there are still areas you can see that are still damaged from that storm, and people have like their crazy stories about it, but in like a weird way it's like a vibe in that city, like a resiliency type vibe amongst the locals, and it's really cool. They do not play when it comes to their football. We learned that me and my friend Quan, we were at a bar and there was a football game. I think it was I remember the game. It was the 49ers versus the Saints.
Okay.
And like the 49ers did that stupid thing in football where they wait till like the last 2 seconds and they kick a field goal to win it.
Okay.
And this city was pissed. I mean, like people were like throwing glasses and they were not happy. So we left the bar. By the time that we step outside the bar, all the 49er fans had already started their own like victory parade. And I'm talking like a parade with like bands like playing trumpets and shit. It was unbelievable. I've never seen a city lose their mind like that for football.
They sound like they were prepared.
Yeah. I guess they probably knew that field goal was coming. I don't know anything about football, so I was just like, yeah. We
Oh,
were originally rooting for the Saints too because we're in New Orleans. Like we got to root for the home team. But we saw the 49ers won it. And we're like, fuck it, we're 49ers fans now, and we went and joined the parade.
nice. Very
Had
nice.
to.
So, yeah, no, absolutely. When in Rome, you know?
Definitely, and especially in New Orleans, man, you get a chance to be in a parade, jump in that parade.
Oh, yeah. So you said New Orleans, you said New York. What was it about New York that really did it for you?
I think like New York is kind of almost like it's like one of those places that if you don't go to, it seems like it's a fairy tale. And there are some letdowns in that aspect when you go because it's not a fairy tale. It's a real place and people have like jobs there and shit. Um, but where we played in New York was like in the Village. It was this place called Otto's Shrunken Head, and it wasn't like the best venue or the nicest venue, but it was a cool venue. Um, and some kids showed up, like these skate kids showed up. Other people came in. Um, it was just a really cool vibe, and I hadn't been to New York maybe since I was about 10 years old. So this is well over 15 years ago, and to go back as an adult and kind of see it was a really cool experience. Funnily enough, we came home from the tour. I was home for like a weekend, and then I flew back up north and went to play a show in New Jersey. And my wife came for that, and I was like, "Hey, I figured this out last time I was here. New York's like 3 hours that way." And we decided to go for like a day trip to the city. So I got to take my wife to like Times Square and stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, very nice. We have Ben Child of the Killbillies, also a Florida, what would we say? Florida resident, Florida native,
Florida
Floridian,
is a Florida import, I
Florida
think.
import. Yeah, hello. The accent says it all. Ben Childs of the Killbillies. He plays a mean hurdy-gurdy, I hear.
I was gonna say, did you see he got one? There's this video that I used to watch maybe like 4 years ago. This girl, her name is Patty Gurdy, and
Oh,
she does like all these different hurdy-gurdy songs. One of them she did like there was that '80s song "Over the Hills and Far Away," not like the Zeppelin one.
okay.
Um, and she does like a hurdy-gurdy version of it, and it's pretty awesome. I think she was also in like a hurdy-gurdy metal band. I
Oh
think.
my gosh. Now
Yeah.
that's quite the niche right there. The hurdy-gurdy metal band. I'm very excited to see what Ben is going to do with said hurdy-gurdy. So bring it on, Ben Child, the Kill Billies. We've had a lot of Florida talent on the show lately. Don seems to be stalking all of you guys who live in Florida. I'm curious, what is the Florida music scene like? Is there a lot of competition, or are you guys kind of patting each other on the back, encouraging each other? What's the scene like down there?
Yeah, I think any music scene has certain people who feel a little more competitive. Um I don't really have that type of mentality of like the crabs in a barrel. Um and that kind of translates to the people that I associate with. Like um I prefer to be welcoming to like newer bands. Um giving people like a shot and stuff. And I think that to build a like a healthy scene, it's got to be welcoming, and like the entry fee is should just be enthusiasm. Like if you want to be a part of this, come on in. And I think we have that down here to a certain extent. There's always going to be the few who are going to step on toes or who want to kind of claw their way to the top, and to me, I don't think that's necessarily like a sustainable business model. Um, I feel like that's just a way that you it's very easy to make enemies that way. So, um, I personally love the scene. I was intimidated when I first came into it, back in like 2018. I'd spent like a few years in like a DJ scene and doing that, and like I did take DJing really seriously. Um, but it just was a very much more a stab you in the back type of scene, and it was something I got sick of very quickly. And when
Okay.
I came back to playing like just rock and roll, um, one of the first places that was like kind of like arms wide open to me was our local venue, Propaganda. Like they let me come play some open mics, and they started throwing me on shows. Um, and that was like my first experience. Like, oh, like an independent venue can be like the catalyst for this amazing scene. And luckily, I found more independent venues through trial and error and playing uh, and traveling. So yeah, I think specifically like South Florida, it's a little bit different than North Florida, and that's nothing against like Jacksonville or Tallahassee, but South Florida, it's a different music scene because I think a lot of people are always expecting the reggae band. And
Okay.
sometimes when they find out it's not the reggae band, that they might not like that, but the other people who are open-minded will be like, this is something different. I want to hear that. So I think we have a fair dose of both.
Okay. Very nice. So when we talk about rock and roll, there's so many different genres of rock and roll. What would you classify what you're doing? Now I know you mentioned it earlier. Tell us one more time.
Yeah, I like to think of it as campfire punk rock. And I won't lie and say that that's an original thought, because it's not. It was the name of Frank Turner's like demo tape, like his first practice EP to see if he wanted to keep doing that. And I thought it was like the perfect phrase to capture what this is. You know, these are punk rock songs, but just because I have an acoustic guitar, I don't think degrades the punk rock in it, because I don't necessarily think like the punk is always a sound. I think sometimes it's a mentality or an ethos, and I think that that can come through in some of my songs. Uh, I guess I always shy away from the term folk punk because like I don't have somebody playing like the bathtub bass. Um, if I did, then you could call me that, but I don't. So campfire punk rock it is.
Very nice. Has anybody ever told you that you look a lot like Eugene Hutz of Go Go Bordello?
No. Ricky from the Shake likes to tell me that I look like Frank Zappa all the time. Uh,
That's another good one. I
I,
think those are two great choices for your next Halloween costume.
I think somebody told me who there was like a comedian who just died in the past few months. It was while we were on the September tour. Uh, I don't know if it's Billy Graham or I think it was Billy Graham. And somebody said I looked like him, and I had no idea who Billy Graham was, and I still don't really see it, but I guess that's another one.
Interesting. There you go. Also, Freddie Mercury. No, I'm just joking. All right, let's see. Uh, what is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for hanging out with me and Dominic DeLaney. If you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, drop them there in the comment section, and I will get to them as soon as possible. Let's see. Omar Jimenez out of Mexico says you look more like Michael Ackerfeld. Who the hell is that? I have no idea.
It's a deep cut.
That's when we go to Google. Thank you, Omar. We got Bobby Powers of Bermuda 3 in the house. What's up, Bobby? How you doing? Thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening. Okay, Dominic, I know we talked about this a little bit our last interview, but let's discuss songwriting, motivation, inspiration. Why do you do what you do? All the above. Start
Yeah.
wherever you'd like.
Well, songwriting is something that I think I spend the majority of my time thinking about, almost like maybe an unhealthy amount of time thinking about writing songs. Um, like the past three albums I've done, including like the acoustic EP I started with, have a lot of the songs are autobiographical. Um, and not that I'm going to stray away from that too much, but I have been kind of open to writing about ideas more broadly lately. But there is something that's kind of important to me about the trueness of a song. I can't necessarily write a fictional piece.
Okay.
Um, I think that I've heard a lot of songwriters I look up to in interviews talk about how being a songwriter or even just a creative person in general is a lot like being an antenna. And you kind of just have to always be on and taking in what's around you. So I do that. The past few months, actually, since we talked last, I've upped my journaling. I try and journal every day, and I've found that when I'm journaling every day, ideas come faster. And it's not like they come while I'm journaling or something, but I think it's just because I'm in the habit of writing every day that sitting down to write a couple ideas doesn't sound like a huge chunk of my time. Um, I've never been like a phone writer. Like some people can write songs on their phone. I can't do that. I have to like write it down on paper. Um, but yeah, as far as like ideas, like I'm the son of two English teachers, so I was kind of raised with some basic grasp of storytelling, your beginning, middle, and end, motifs, things like that. So I kind of incorporate that into my songs. I like them to kind of have, uh, if not a story, at least like a plan, something that kind of anchors and ends the song on the right note. Um, yeah, I think also one of the things I always tell people is you can't be afraid to write bad songs. Um, if you're ever gonna write any songs, you're gonna write bad ones. So I'll I don't think of it as like a waste of time to sit and finish what turns out to be a bad song. Sometimes it's okay to look down at a piece of paper and be like, that didn't work, because at least you flexed that muscle, um, and you're getting some sort of exercise for it. So I try not to analyze too much of how I pick what I'm gonna write, kind of for fear of like breaking the machine. Um, I have recently decided that I'm gonna put a whiteboard in my shower,
Oh.
because I have a lot of shower ideas. So, yeah, I think it's all just about finding those moments when your antenna's working and seeing how you can capitalize on those. Get as much as you can out of those moments, because like that's the trick, is they don't come all the time. So when they do, if you can milk it for all it's worth, you're gonna end up with a lot more to work with.
So, how does one know the difference between a good song and a bad song?
I think
For
there's
lack of a better term, because really, I mean, no, I guess there are really shit songs out there. But I feel like whenever you are putting your creativity out into the world, I mean, we can always work on those songs and make them better, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have a CD of songs I wrote when I was probably late middle school, early high school, and I listened to them a couple years ago, and they're just not good. They're just not good songs. Like I think if anybody else heard them, I would send ninjas in the night to attack them. Um,
That bad, huh?
they're not good songs. But at the time, they were the best I could do, and that's a big distinction. They were the best that I could do at that time period with the tools I was given, which was the mind of a 15-year-old. Um, so naturally, all the songs are about girls. But yeah, but it was flexing a muscle, and it was, I think, doing that at a young age, because I mean, I think the first song I wrote was definitely like 12 years old, um, and was god awful. But it was getting that motion of, I have an idea, I'm gonna put it on paper, I'm gonna play guitar to it, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of like that, and then it's gonna be a song. Um, as I've gotten older, I try and do that better. And I think that's like one of the things of, I don't want to like repeat myself, um because to me that just seems boring. So the logical other thing to do is to challenge yourself. So that's kind of how I look at every song, is like, okay, well, how can I make this better than the last one? And then if it's not better than the last one, that's kind of when I'll think about, maybe this isn't a great song.
Okay. Let's see. Ben says, my music teacher said, write something every day, even if it is no good.
I feel that. I feel
I
that.
think that's great exercise. That's great technique, great practice, and really gets the juices flowing, and really should be something that us as musicians should be doing daily. If we're not, practicing our instruments daily, or writing some, lyrics, or creating a song, or whatever it may be.
Well, that's where,
Consistency. Go ahead.
yeah, like Ricky from the Shake. There was a period of time. I want to say it was right before I wrote my last album for life, where I just like I wasn't the antenna was not working, and I was telling him about that, and I was just like, dude, I can't get past like a line. And he was telling me how when he had writer's block, he was writing like short stories, and I was like, you're a psychopath. Um, but then I tried it, and it worked. I think I made it through maybe a beginning of a short story, and then I was kind of like, all right, well, I don't want to write short stories. I want to write songs. And that clicked something for me. And then I wrote the entire album of For Life in a really short period of time. It was maybe a couple weeks, and I had the entire album. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's all just about finding like those little tricks. You gotta trick your brain because sometimes your brain's not working on your team. So, um, I also think that like a lot of writing in like those stream of conscious moments, like in the shower or like right before you fall asleep, like those seem to always be like when you're the best ideas come, or at least the most formed ones come. And I think that's because like once everything else in your body is kind of like taking a break and shutting down for a second, that's when your antenna's like, wait, there's something out there, and it kind of sparks something. So that's I definitely am putting a dry erase board in my shower, and maybe one next to my bed.
How do we keep the ideas on the dry erase board without them erasing when someone else gets in the shower, when you potentially get it wet? Does it have like a
Yeah,
protective screen?
yeah, I don't know. I gotta figure this one out. It would be really cool to have like a digital one, but
Ooh.
water and electricity I've heard don't mix.
No, yeah. Well, work on it,
Yeah,
trademark it or patent it, and let's make some money, Dominic.
definitely, definitely. I'm
It's-
all for it.
uh,
Um, that's gonna be my second business venture. My first one is gonna be what we call the Shakespeare. Um, I'm going to put out this book one day. I am the keeper of the Shakespeare. The Shakespeare is pretty much all of the vocabulary that is created mainly by Aquila of the Shake, and maybe sometimes even by Zion, Aquila's kid. Uh, for instance, like we have instead of that, that's what you get. It's that you get, and that's in the Shakespeare. So there's a couple other ones. This will also all be in the documentary too. So I won't go too far into it, but it will actually be a thing one day.
How fun. So I actually interviewed Justin of Live Music Community as well as Ben Childs. And Justin actually was on the road with you guys filming the whole shenanigans, everything that was going on. And he says that you guys are actually, it's actually going to be a series now instead of, like one movie. It's going to be a bunch of different episodes that come out, which I think is just genius.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is just we were on the road for 2 weeks and the camera didn't stop. So to condense that down to what's a movie like an hour 90 minutes maybe, we'd be cutting a lot out.
Sure.
And um I didn't really have any sort of say in these parts of it. I kind of, once it was done, I personally want to be as uninvolved in the actual making of it as possible. Just because I feel like I'm in it. I don't want to like make it. I feel like there's some sort of like dishonesty in that. Like, oh, well, I don't look cool in this clip, so take that out. Um, so I've kind of been detached from that whole process, but I agree with the decision to make it episodic, I guess is the word. Because yeah, we'd just be losing way too much. There's too many cool and fun stories in that 2 weeks that losing any of them wouldn't be worth it. So I think it's the right choice. It's gonna be coming out on the Shakes YouTube. Um, yeah, I mean, there's just every day has its own story, and I think that's how mainly how the episodes are gonna be. Um, and I think that's the right call.
Nice. Ben says, I have plenty of terrible songs in the vault. I'm writing one right now. I'm not sure if it is good yet or not. Ben, as long as you're writing it on that hurdy-gurdy, baby, I think you're gold. You know what I'm saying?
One of the best pieces of advice somebody gave me, and it's so simple that it doesn't seem like it would be such a great piece of advice. But somebody told me, oh, if you have If you have a good first verse, uh, move it to the second verse, and now you have a good second verse. Go write the first one again. And I always thought that was kind of cool because like I could write a good first verse, but then my second one maybe I get lazy. This kind of ensures that you don't. So I've liked playing with that. Also playing with like pronouns, like changing yous to theys and me's to we's, stuff like that.
I wonder if that works. Somebody needs to go and give this advice to like movie directors, because the first movie is always bomb diggity. And then the second movie sometimes, most often, comes out complete trash. I'm not sure if you've seen Avatar 2 yet, but please do
I have
not
not.
waste your money. Don't waste your money. Don't do it, Dominic.
Oh man, I was hoping it was gonna be good too.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It was like 3 hours of complete hell for me. But maybe you're into that kind of thing. Maybe you're into torture.
Who knows these days? I mean, some say that listening to folk punk music is torture. So
You know
whatever.
what's torture, Dominic, is having Donovan, my beautiful secretary, living down in my basement. My gosh, the amount of money it takes to feed this man is outrageous.
You just gotta stomp on the ground a little more.
Well, I just send my pig in there and, he puts him in place. That's what Winston Diego is here for. Let's see. Don says screams from the basement. Your screams don't work here. All right. And that's just the way it's always going to be. All right. So we have concluded that Dominic likes torture. We've
Yep.
concluded that Donovan lives in the basement. We've also concluded that you're about to play us an amazing song.
Is
I want you to tell me the story and everything behind it. I'm going to get off the screen, but I'm still here, okay?
awesome. All right, so this is one of my more requested songs that I get, and I play it quite a bit. It's an older one, and the story goes that before I had gone to playing music full time, I was working at an ice rink, and I grew up playing hockey. I was having a lot of fun, but I left the ice rink because I knew I wanted to do music, but I needed some form of money. So I called one of my buddies, Mitch, and he got me this job at a metal factory. And pretty much what we did was we had like different beams, and we'd bolt them together, and then we'd put them on a truck, and we'd bring them to you. One of the things I had to do was punch holes in this like inch thick piece of metal. So I was punching holes in it, and I didn't realize like when the machine was coming back up that like my hand was kind of caught in the handle, and so my finger got crushed. And when I say it got crushed, like my finger was paper thin, and that's not an exaggeration. Um, I was pretty sure I was gonna lose the finger. The guy who like the foreman or whatever didn't give a shit. He just handed me like a paint can filled with ice water and had me stick my hand in it. Um, and then I went home. I drank about half a bottle of Jameson that night and smoked a lot of weed because it hurt really bad. And then I woke up the next morning and it was still hurting really bad, so I went to the doctor and they're like, "Yeah, your finger's broken." Um, Now this ties into how I count every show that I play. This happened, I want to say like around show 96 or something like that, and show 100 was already scheduled, which means I had to play all the shows leading up to it. So I did. I pretty much put the sling on my finger. I took a whole bunch of hockey tape and taped it on, and I played with the broken finger and wrote a song about it. So that's what this song's about. This one's called Broken Finger. I got too many wires. Hang on. I can play my guitar the broken finger. And I know that that choice might make the pain linger more than it would if I was just a singer. But it's me and my guitar and my broken finger. It's me and my guitar and my broken finger. The pain comes and goes, and it hurts after shows. It hurts in the morning and wherever I go. I don't like painkillers, and right now that blows. The doctor said to leave it alone. And I said I could play my guitar with the broken finger. And I know that that choice might make the pain linger more than it would if I was just a singer. But it's me and my guitar and my broken finger. Me and my guitar and my broken finger. Right now I'm working as hard as I can, but I'm pretty useless without my right hand. And if it looks like I'm giving you the bird, understand it's got its own mind, yeah, it's got its own plan. But I could play my guitar with the broken finger, and I know that that choice might make the pain linger more than it would if I was just a singer. But it's me and my guitar and my broken finger. Me and my guitar and my broken finger. My buddy Mitch got me the job. I'm honestly lucky that my finger's not gone. It was crushed by the weight of the world and mother-in-laws. Well, I think that it's time to move on. And the prescription for Jameson was all that I'd need. And if I had extra money, I'd get some fire-ass weed. Thank you, my friends, for tuning in to see what my broken finger has done to me. What my broken finger has done to me. Well, I can play my guitar, the broken finger, and I know that that choice might make the pain linger more than it would if I was just a singer. But it's me and my guitar and my broken finger. Me and my guitar and my broken finger.
Woo, 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 woo. Okay, Dominic DeLaney in the house, all the way from Florida, singing us some what was this again? Folk? Wait, punk rock, fire, camp rock?
Campfire punk rock.
Campfire, punk rock.
Damn it, I was gonna start up a campfire tonight too, but I didn't want to bring all this outside. But
well,
next time.
Next time, third time's a charm. Listen, we got my gorgeous wife, Lindsay Cantu, in the house. Wife, if you're still there, I did tell everybody I have misplaced my phone, so don't anybody think I'm ignoring you. I love you, and I will find it soon. I think it may be under my bed. All right, Dominic. I really like your style. I'm liking how you're using life experiences to kind of sing your song and let the world know how you're feeling. Is that how you normally write your songs? Are they around life experiences?
Yeah, I would think so. I also have this thing where if somebody like challenges me to write a song, it bothers me. Like for instance, there's a song I have
I'm sorry.
that
Sorry. Go ahead.
there's a song on the album that's acoustic on the album, but it's called I'd Rather Be on Tour. And that song was written. Me and the Shake, we did the Cut the Strings tour, and after that, we were kind of talking. Me and Ricky were talking, and I was like, one of us said, "I'd rather be on tour right now," and I was like, "That's the song." And he said, "Well, go write it." And I was like, "Fine, I will," and I did. And it's one of my favorite songs I've written. So that a very similar situation kind of started Haunted Halls, which was all in the last album as well. So, but yeah, it's mainly life experiences. That's kind of why like COVID was such a downer. Was a lot of people were like, "Oh, you have so much time, you must be writing so much," and I didn't because the experiences are so limited. Like, what was I going to write about? So that I think helped a lot this past year, where we were able to tour normally and have those experiences to write about. That's something that I've been like I said, I've been experimenting with trying different modes and different methods of writing. But that's the one I think that is most comfortable for me. Um, Even though at times I can realize that this seems a little narcissistic to consistently write songs about myself. But it's something I like to do to kind of, I think, one of the lines like in Broken Finger that has aged and the meaning has changed is like, "Thank you, my friends, for coming to see what my broken finger's done to me." Um, Originally, it was like, "Look what it's done to me. My hand hurts." But I think in a longer run and in a deeper meaning, if you look at what my broken finger has done to me, it kind of set me on this like path. Because I could have easily said, "Oh, I broke my finger at show 96. I'll just cancel the rest of them." Um, and I probably would have played 100 shows by now, but um, I don't know. I think things would have been a lot different. That was definitely a turning point where I could have. It was kind of like the sports guy playing injured. It was making that decision that like, yeah, this is probably gonna hurt and not feel great, but to me, it's worth it. Um, so yeah, I like that kind of writing because I feel like that happens a lot. There's another song I have called "Sad Songs," um, that's meaning has changed in an entirely different way, where it's about some friends that I grew up with who are no longer here, and they were at the time of the writing. So that type of thing is always very interesting, um, because you create something and you like let it out in the world, and time happens and it changes everything, and it changes the meanings, and sometimes in beautiful ways and sometimes in like hurtful ways, but still that raw emotion is kind of, I think, what makes every song, or at least the songs I like to listen to, worthwhile. So
Absolutely. Let's look at a few of these comments here. So let's see. Lindsay wants to know, where's your phone? And Dawn says, Winnie the pig brought me your phone. Ha ha, come get it. Then Dawn says, play that one amazing tune. I'd rather be on tour. This basement sucks. I feel like that's a number one heavy hitter there, baby.
that should be the follow-up to "I'd rather be on tour. This basement sucks."
We
That's
got
part
Roberto
B.
Ramos in the house. Omar Jimenez says, call the police. Don, you have a phone. You guys, you all crack me up, and I love you all so much. You could be anywhere in the world and you're here with us, and it means the absolute world to have your support. We've been going strong for almost an hour, so we're going to start wrapping this up pretty soon. If you guys have any last minute questions, make sure to drop them there in the chat. All right, Dominic, let's talk a little bit about this upcoming Amtrak tour. How'd you get the idea? Who booked it? What are the deets?
Yeah, so I had the idea for the Amtrak tour maybe like a year or two ago. And originally like it was kind of just a fleeting thought, like oh, wouldn't that be cool type of thing. Um Mainly because like I think I don't know, I kind of like a challenge in that type of aspect of it, like the transportation aspect of it. Um but once we did the RV tour, um, I knew I wanted to go back on tour at the beginning of this year. Um, and I had the Amtrak idea, and I was kind of like, I don't know if it'll work. But then the opportunity came up with Least of All sound recordings, where we're going to go up and do those limited pre-ordered singles, of which there are still a handful left. Um, and once we got that, and I knew that we were going to be going up to New York in January, I started to kind of play with the idea of, okay, well, maybe I'll, if I'm going all the way up there, I might as well do a quick tour. And, I have a map in my wallet that has all the states on it, crossed off of which ones I've been in. I'm going to play in all 50. And I missed a lot of like the real upper northeast on the last tour. So I thought I'd go. And originally, the whole thing with the Amtrak tour was they had what's called like a USA Rail Pass, and it was like you got 10 rides for $500. I was like, that's not awful. Um, but in the Northeast, it turns out you don't even need that because the Amtraks are so cheap. One of my Amtraks, I think it's from Rhode Island to Boston, is like $7. Um, so it's ridiculously cheap. I think in total, out of all the trains I'm taking, I think it was like maybe $200 for all of the train rides I'll be taking. Um, so I don't know if it's gonna work. That's the biggest thing. We were talking a little bit before the show of how it changes the aspect of booking the tour. So I booked the whole thing myself, and it definitely changed it because I could say like, oh, I want to play an Alabama show. I have the entire state now to look at and find a show. When it comes to the Amtrak tour, you're very limited in the scope of where you can go because at some point you have to get back to the train station or at least to another train station to go on to the next place. So that was a little tricky. There were some places that I was able to put together shows but just couldn't get to on the train. So it has its challenges, and I don't know how it's going to work in execution. But I'm hopeful. I think it's a really interesting way to tour. If it ends up being cost effective, it's something that I'll be shouting like from the rooftops. Because that's something the touring industry at large is still recovering from being out of work for 2 years, and um, anything that can kind of cut cost, I think might be worthwhile doing right now to kind of help build this back. So I'm gonna give it a test run in the Northeast. We're doing 3 New York shows, then I'm doing Connecticut, Maine, Boston, Rhode Island, and then I'm back in Florida. And then hopefully in May I'll bring it out to the West Coast, and the idea would be to do from LA up to Seattle, maybe hitting Alaska. That would be kind of like an exception. I'd have to fly for that, but um, yeah, just trying to keep moving. I mean, I want to play in every state. I want to have those experiences. And on some aspect, I love the traveling aspect of it. Like doing it for work is great, and I'm so appreciative that I get to do that. But seeing the whole country, um, is really cool because I feel like I have a lot of opinions about places that I've never been to, and most of the time those are wrong, and I kind of like that.
So, what does a Dominic rewind? What does a Dominic DeLaney show look like? What is the experience you're giving your audience?
I hopefully a moving one. Something that has real emotion. These songs aren't fake. These songs are who I am. And I think that that's a huge part of a lot of my songwriting is maybe expressing myself in ways that I can't in social conversation. Um, I want people to always feel welcome at my shows. I want it to be kind of more like a gathering of friends. I hate the word like fan. I don't think I'll ever use the word fan. Um, because that's not what it is. What I fell in love with when it came to like punk music or even just DIY music in general was you'd go to a show and then the band would finish, hop off the stage, and then the other band would hop out of the crowd onto the stage. And that's just how it is. And
Yeah.
it's one big community, like we're all in this together. Um that's what I'm always going for and spearheading.
Very nice. And then also, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind with your music?
I think maybe just you know, some sort of record of who I was. I think a lot of people. I have no shame in saying one of my biggest fears is like we die. What happens when we die? What happens to what we did? Um, that's something that I've thought about, and you know, everybody's going to die at some point, and that sucks, but it's the truth. So make the best of your time here. And if there's a way, if you have that creative aspect, whether it be songwriting or painting or taking pictures, to leave something behind, um, that's pretty cool to me. So I think hopefully just some sort of accurate record as to who I was.
Very nice. Ben says, sad songs make me feel good. Reminds me of Bustin', makes me feel good from Ghostbusters. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, Ben, you Englishman.
Very nice. All right, Dominic, I'm so stoked for your upcoming Amtrak tour. I'm so stoked for the upcoming documentary that you're starring in with The Shake. And I'm so excited for what 2023 has in store for you. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we get going?
Uh, let's see. What else am I doing? Well, I'm writing album 3 right now. And just a huge shout out to the guys who can tolerate me long enough to be in my band. We got Billy Doom on guitar, Ricky Boulafay on drums, and Rocky Rucker on bass. So those guys are amazing. We're going to New York on Monday, and if you haven't bought one of the limited edition vinyls, you can do so. Don's got my links.
Donovan. I am a huge Rocky Rucker fan. Oh my goodness. What a phenomenal bass player, amazing human being, and what a character Rocky is as well.
Oh yeah, he's the best. I've looked up to Rocky for years, and we talked about that last time. Where I don't think Rocky remembered me the first couple times we met, but I made an impression eventually, and now he loves me, and I will take it.
That's all that matters, is that as long as eventually you made your mark, that's all that matters. I'm sure Rocky made so many people day in and day out. It's very hard for him to keep all the names straight.
Oh yeah, he's a superstar. I mean, but he earned it. He gets to be a superstar. He's Rocky Rucker.
Rocky Rucker, the superstar. He needs his own cape. He should sell that in the merch shop.
I told him, I texted him the other night. I was like, a great T-shirt idea would just be a black shirt that just says, "Does your scene have a Rocky?"
I love that so much. Well, that's what we do, is manifest things here on the Sunshine Show. So we need to make that happen. Dominic, I hope that you will come back on soon and share new music with us, share how the tour went, and everything else that you want to share with us. We're going to get going. I want you, though, before we go, to give us your best piece of advice.
Best piece of advice. I think last time my best piece of advice was keep your head above your ass, and that's still a good one. Best piece of advice. I don't know. Keep going.
Okay. Awesome. Well, it's important to keep going, because a lot of times I wake up and I don't want to keep going. I just want to lay around in bed and, not keep going. But the most important thing, you can have days off. You can lay around in bed, get high, watch Netflix, but it is important, to brush yourself off. And the next day or the day after, keep going.
Keeping on.
So beautiful advice, Dominic. Let's see. We got Blake Bushy here. He says, I always miss these now. Well, Blake Bushy, when I am live, I normally go live at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But I do appreciate you just showing up when you're able to, Blake. That absolutely means a lot to me. I'm not sure who I have the rest of the week, or if I have anybody, but if we have any pop-ups, I guarantee you guys will be the first to know. I believe I'm interviewing Erin from Thrive later on in the week, so we'll get that going soon. All right, Dominic, we're going to get out of here. Everybody at home, make sure you stay kind. You never know the battles that the people around you are facing. Try to keep a smile on your face. And be careful out there. It's a dangerous fucking world. That goes for you, Dominic, especially taking public transportation. You got to be safe out there. It's very dangerous no matter where you go or any kind of transportation that you choose. We don't judge here on the Sunshine Show, okay? The Pato Mobile is a favorite of mine. So just be safe. That's all I'm saying. Just be safe. All right, Dominic, on 3, we're going to say bye. Are you ready?
I am absolutely ready.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Bye.
Bye. We'll see you later. Randy Ramirez on Friday.